Hey everyone. So here today we are going to discuss about two topics and their difference. So basically, I'm talking about gender development index and gender empowerment measure. Yes, gender development index and gender empowerment measure. Now, here you have been asked to differentiate between these two in terms of their components and constructions. So, in details, I am going to discuss about the components in this video. I will make another video, the follow-up video about the construction. Okay, so let's just begin with what is GDI, that is our Gender Development Index, right? Okay, so all of us know Human Development Index. Then now Human Development Index deals with a parameter and rank the countries as per the qualities, like what? Life expectancy, then knowledge, that is the literacy rate, and the per capita income of nation. So these three parameters together they calculate HDI. Now, while calculating HDI, it cannot be said anything about the gender inequality, gender biasness, right? So, to focus on that angle, Gender Development Index was constructed. Yes, where we use the same parameters, that is life expectancy at birth, then literacy rate, gross enrollment ratio, as well as income of the nation to check the number, the rank. But for men and women separately, okay, and then compare between these two measures. So if the measure is very large, like greater than 0.5, then we say that the country do not have much disparity, gender disparity. But if it is less than 0.5, then there is definitely large amount of gender disparity. So that is why GDI was constructed. Now let's see in details what are the components of GDI and what are the dimensions taken in to measure this particular index, right? So in front of you is a flow diagram, okay, flow chart here about the index. What are the parameters and dimensions? So while calculating gender development index, there are three dimensions. Okay, what are they? Number one is a long and healthy life. Number two is regarding knowledge, and the third one is standard of living. So these are the three dimensions. Now, in order to measure these dimensions or to cover these aspects, what are the indicators? So in order to measure the life, right, healthy life, that is life expectancy, we have to check. So for that, female life expectancy is measured, and male life expectancy is measured. Okay, so with the help of, with only from the population, only number of female and their life expectancy is measured separately, and same similarly for male. In HDI we calculate for the whole population, but in GDI we calculate it separately for female and male. So to calculate the female life expectancy, which will give us an indicator of long and healthy life, what is the dimension index? We use female life expectancy index. So using the female life expectancy index, we can calculate the female life expectancy, which will give us an idea about the longevity of female in the population. And same goes for male, that is male life expectancy, that will be measured through this index, which will give us an idea about the longevity of men in the population. So from that you can compare between men and women, right? Now we have to combine these two for equally distributed life expectancy index. Okay, so this is the parameter where equally the weightage has been given to the out of the population, how much is the female and how much is the male, so together taken and given the name as equally distributed index. Now, when we are measuring for longevity, then it is equally distributed life expected index. So as I have told you, in the next video, I will discuss the construction and hence the formula in details. So here you just only need to know the components and their distinction. So to summarize, for this first indicator, in order to measure the longevity in terms of male and female and combine them, so first you have to find out female life expectancy index, then the male life expectancy index, and then there is this equally distributed index with one formula which will give us the equally distributed life expectancy index in the population. Once we are done with the first indicator, we will move on to the second one, that is knowledge, education, and not only the literacy or education, but it is also about the enrollment ratio, that is how many of them are getting enrolled in terms of gender, female and male. So for that, as you can see here, what are the indicators here we are going to check? First one is for female, that is female adult literacy rate and female GER, that is the enrollment, gross enrollment ratio. So this is for female, right? So literacy rate and gross enrollment ratio together for female, we will construct the female education index out of the population. And similarly for male, we will measure male literacy rate and male gross enrollment ratio together to calculate the male education index. Now we have these two index separately from the population. So now using this equally distributed index for the education, we will calculate for the second dimension. Now the last one, that is decent standard of living. So in this, what we are going to estimate is the earned income of female and male, and together the income index, and then finally equally distributed income index. Moving on to the next parameter, next index, that is our GEM, that is gender empowerment measure or index also sometimes called. Now, why this is? This is basically more evolved than GDI, because in GDI we have measured the life expectancy rate, literacy rate, and your income, etc. But these cannot guarantee the following qualities for empowerment of women, right? So what are the qualities that must be noted for a woman's empowerment? So here you can see there are some mentioned are education, ownership over property, position or status in the labor market, right? Opportunities to work, familiar and social attitude regarding women's employment, overall development of a society. So these are all the parameters that should be taken into account in order to understand the empowerment of women, or whether the equality is actually being taken care of or not. Just by calculating the factors under GDI will not be enough. So for that, to focus on women's opportunities rather than their capabilities. Capabilities here means what? From the theory of Amartya Sen's capabilities, we know the capability to have the freedom to eat, right? That is no hunger, to be able to meet our demand for food, etc. The basic requirements. We should be capable of meeting our basic requirements. That was the capability approach given by Amartya Sen. So that is what we are actually going to refer here. So what is one of the basic difference here is GDI basically takes care about the capabilities, whether in terms of male and female, whether those capabilities are maintained or not, and if there is any inequality in terms of capability between gender, right? But it will not mention or reflect about the women's opportunity, right? Or how they are overcoming the inequality. So for that is the empowerment. So gender empowerment measure was introduced, right? Now this index basically has three key areas. Okay, GEM has three key areas. So for you, I have here the first one is political participation and decision making power as measured by the percentage share of parliamentary seats of both male and female. So the first one is about, as you can see, the percentage of shares of parliamentary seats of both male and female, right? So this is political participation, whether equal participating opportunity in political sense is given or not. So that is why here division of the number of seats, right? There are quota for women candidates in politics also, right? Next one is economic participation and decision making power as measured by two indicators. Now what are the first one was regarding the political participation, and this is done by the percentage share of seats, parliamentary seats for both male and female. And for the economic participation here and decision making power in the society, what are the parameters here? First one is the percentage share of position as legislators, senior administrators and managers of both sexes, and women's and men's percentage share in professional and technical positions. So the number one is about the share in position is as what legislators, senior administration and managers, right, in these posts. And another one is about in the professional and technical position. So these are the two types of positions they have distinguished, in which they are going to measure the percentage share of male and female, and will analyze about the empowerment of women actually taking place in the society. And the last one is power or authority over economic resources as measured by contribution of earned income of both women and men. Okay, so these are the three parameters, or let's say index. This first index, second index, and this is the third index. And these three together, the average of them will give us the GEM index, that is gender empowerment measure or gender empowerment index. Now this is again shown using a flow chart diagram, as I have discussed for GDI, for you to understand easily. So we will again refer to that here. So yes, so for GD, just as GDI, similarly for GEM you have dimensions. Under dimensions, as already mentioned, that is there are 3 parts, that is political participation, economic participation and decision making, and the power over economic resources, right? So 1, 2 and 3. Now let's see what are the indicators to measure political participation, as we have just discussed, that is female and male shares of parliamentary seats. So this is what we are going to take into account. And finally we are going to measure again what equally distributed percentage, that is EDP for parliamentary representation for male and female taken together. Then we will find this index. Next one is about economic participation and decision making. For that, as we have seen, there are 2 positions they are talking about. One is as legislators, senior managers or senior officials. Another one is in terms of professional and technical positions together for economic participation, that is equally distributed index again. And the last one is for economic resource, that is in terms of the income earned, and so that is your again equally distributed index. Now taking these two together, average, we will generate our GEM. So this is all about the difference between components of GDI and GEM. Quickly follow the next video to understand the construction of GDI.